Section 2, the House of Representatives. Rules for lawmaking. Each House of Congress has rules to help members conduct business. Congress carries out its work by committees. Because of the much larger membership in the House, committee work is even more important than in the Senate. Party membership influences much of the work of Congress, since the majority party in each House organizes committees, appoints committee heads, and controls the flow of legislation. The Speaker of the House is the leader of the majority party and has great power and influence over its members. Pictured here, you see Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner. When the Republicans gained a majority in the House of Representatives back in 2010, after the midterm elections, John Boehner became the Speaker. Prior to that, it was Nancy Pelosi, a Democrat, when the Democrats had control. So that will change. Like I said, if there's ever a change in leadership, or which party has a majority, then the new party will get a chance to select the leadership. Floor leaders of both the majority and the minority parties are party leaders who help steer bills through committees. And party whips assist the floor leaders in persuading party members to support laws that the party favors. Lawmaking in the House. Members attend House floor sessions to vote on legislation. All laws begin as bills being introduced in the House, and then they go to committee. If it is approved there, they are put on the proper calendar, listing the order in which they will be considered on the House floor. The House Rules Committee receives all bills approved by the various committees of the House. The Rules Committee also determines which bills will be considered by the full House and places them on the House calendar. The Rules Committee also settles disputes among other House committees and delays or blocks bills that representatives and the House leaders do not want to come to a vote. When the Rules Committee sends bills to the floor, the House may sit as a committee of the whole, in which 100 members is a quorum, or a minimum number needed to conduct business, in order to speed up consideration of an important bill, so that the full House can then vote on it. Section 3, the Senate. The Senate at work. The Senate has fewer rules than the House. Senators have more freedom to express their views and are less subject to party discipline than representatives. The Senate has a less formal atmosphere than the House. The Vice President presides over the Senate, but has much less power and influence than the Speaker of the House. The President pro tem often presides over the Senate. The Senate Majority Floor Leader is responsible for guiding bills through the Senate. The Minority Floor Leader develops criticisms of the major party bills and tries to keep the opposition party members working together. Majority and Minority Floor Whips assist their floor leaders in making sure members are present for key Senate votes. Senate leaders control the flow of bills to committees and to the floor for debate. There is no Senate committee that is comparable to the House Rules Committee. The Senate has only two calendars: the calendar of general orders, which schedules bills to be considered in the Senate, and the executive calendar, which schedules treaties and nominations. Now, it's important to note here that one of the duties of the Senate is that the Senate has the authority to confirm presidential nominations and appointments. Certain presidential nominations and appointments require Senate approval. So the House doesn't have a say in that, but the Senate does. So that's part of the executive calendar. And also the Senate has a vote on treaties. We cannot formally enter a treaty unless the Senate ratifies the treaty. Now, there is a way around that. Modern presidents have oftentimes used executive agreements to work around, which don't require any consent from Congress. but a formal treaty has to be ratified by the Senate. So that also is the other part of the executive calendar. A filibuster is a stalling of the legislative procedure to prevent a vote. It can be ended by a 3/5 vote. In recent years, the filibuster has lost effectiveness as a legislative weapon because new rules allow other matters to continue at the same time. The majority party controls the flow of legislation or legislative work in the Senate. Now, back to the filibuster. The modern rules allow somebody to basically kind of call a filibuster, and it takes, like I said, a 3/5 vote to end it. So that allows the minority party to actually block a vote on a lot of bills that they don't want to see get through. And that sometimes is how it gets used. And we have seen it used a little bit, particularly in the divisiveness that we've had over the last, say, 5 or 6 years. And then traditionally a filibuster, in order to stall, you basically had to keep debate going on a bill. And so, and some people do this just more to draw attention to an issue, to get public attention, such as Senator Ted Cruz kind of conducted an old-style filibuster where he actually read a bunch of Dr. Seuss books just to occupy time. And, of course, that does receive a great deal of attention, but doesn't particularly mean a whole lot.
They have a rule at home that they get to pick the books. For whatever reason, they don't pick Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham all that often. So I don't get to read it that often because I tell them, go pick the books you want to read, and I read it to them. But since tonight, girls, you aren't here, you girls don't get to pick the book, so I got to pick Green Eggs and Ham. And I love this story, and so I'm going to read it to you. Sam I am. That Sam I am, that Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like Green Eggs and Ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like Green Eggs and Ham. Would you like them here or there? I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like Green Eggs and Ham. I do not like them, Sam I am.